Bizline New Year's Special. Incheon Airport has established itself as a global hub airport by winning the World's Best Airport Award for 9 years in a row. But it is strongly being challenged by China and Japan. What is Incheon Airport's way forward for 2015? The New Year's Special on the outlook for the global economy. Part 1 will discuss issues that will move Korea's economy in 2015 and how the economy will perform this year. From 4D printers to the basic technology of a transparent cape, we will introduce technologies set to become new growth engines for the next 10 years or more. The hot topic for ICT in 2015 is the race to speed. We will check out the ICT environment that will change with the emergence of gigabit internet 10 times faster than the existing internet. The year 2015 is the 70th anniversary of Korea's independence and separation of the Korean peninsula. What is the desirable inter-Korean relationship Korean people are hoping for, and what is the relationship experts expect to see?
Hello, I'm Andrew Salmon. Welcome to Bizline, and welcome, of course, to 2015. Now, later in the show, we'll be taking a look at what some of the opportunities and what some of the risks are lying ahead for the Korean economy in the new year. But first, for first-time visitors to Korea, the first view they usually have of this country is at Incheon International Airport. Now, Incheon International is firmly established as an Asian air hub. It's also winning International Airport of the Year awards again and again and again. But this year, that status is being challenged by up-and-coming rivals in Japan and in China. So, how is this rivalry for Asia's skies going to play out in 2015? Let's take a look.
Incheon International Airport, which is considered the world's best airport, is the gateway to Korea. But it is strongly being challenged by airports in neighboring countries for the position as the Northeast Asian and global hub. We will examine what tasks Incheon International Airport faces in 2015 to keep its crown amid fierce competition with neighboring countries and which directions it should take going forward. In 2013, Airport Council International, or ACI, the consultative group of 1,800 airports around the world, picked Incheon Airport as the top in airport services quality, or ASQ, for 9 years in a row. As a result, it has gained numerous achievements, such as being named the world's best airport, the 3rd busiest airport by international cargo traffic, and the 9th busiest airport by international travelers.
안전하고 편리한 그런 부분에 있어서 좋은 평가를 받은 것 같고, 또 공항은 그야말로 뭐 입출국하는 그런 이제 장소이긴 하지만은 공항 그 이상의 것, 그러니까 공항이 하나의 문화적인 공간으로 또 쇼핑의 공간으로 이렇게 다목적으로 이렇게 이용할 수 있는 그런 부분들이 아마 좋은 평가를 받은 것 같습니다.
Each year, users have been sharply rising. It has grown into a large airport with annual users of more than 40 million people. Incheon Airport, where more than 120,000 people depart and arrive every day, has established an airline network connecting 188 cities in 55 countries. Its accumulated users have exceeded 400 million people. Moreover, sales at Incheon Airport's duty-free shops topped $2 billion in 2014, also contributing to the airport's popularity. Such record is the world's first by an airport, beating Dubai Airport and large airports in Europe and North America, which have been vying for the highest sales in duty-free shops.
공항이라고 하면 그 관문입니다. 대한민국을 찾는 사업 목적이건 관광 목적이건 한국을 처음 접하는 이러한 그 관문이 되기 때문에 어떻게 보면 경제에 직접적인 영향을 미친다고 볼 수가 있습니다. 특히 그 문화 관광 산업에 대해서는 어떻게 보면 그 자체가 하나의 상품일 수 있고요. 반대로 공항의 그 서비스라든가 이미지가 나쁠 경우에는 그 국가를 찾는 것도 오히려 부정적인 영향을 미칠 수가 있는 거죠.
However, putting aside such tangible accomplishments, the new year is said to be a hectic year for Incheon Airport to resolve many tough problems. It has been targeting to be a hub airport in Northeast Asia from the construction stage, but it is being strongly challenged now by neighboring countries.
이 허브공항의 경쟁에 있어서는 사실은 인천공항이 비교적 뒤늦게 출발을 했으니까 공항의 시설이라든가 운영 메커니즘이 어떻게 보면 좀 현대화되어 있다고 할까요? 그런 점에서 이제 우위를 점하고 있는데 그러나 앞으로 10년, 20년 후를 장담하기는 힘듭니다. 왜냐하면 일본이나 또 중국은 역시 나름대로 공항을 현대화 나가고 있고요. 운영 시스템도 굉장히 많이 바꾸고 있습니다. 따라서 인천공항이 현재의 현재의 허브 지위를 유지하고 더 향상시키려면 많은 노력이 필요할 겁니다.
Asian countries that claim themselves to be the hubs are in the middle of an airport battle. Aside from Korea, China, and Japan, Southeast Asian countries are also moving to expand their airports. Therefore, we urgently need to boost Incheon Airport's network and capacity. Reflecting such a fierce competition, the ratio of transfer passengers to total international passengers at Incheon Airport has been falling, particularly from last year. Its ratio is significantly lower when compared to roughly 30% at Singapore's Chiang Mai Airport and roughly 20% at Japan's Narita International Airport.
저비용 항공사의 적극적인 유치를 통하여 인천국제공항의 허브 기능을 공고히 해야 합니다. 저비용 항공 이용객은 2009년 34만 명에서 2013년 488명으로 4년 만에 14배가량 급증하고 있습니다. 또한 세계의 주요 공항들은 저비용 항공사 전용 터미널 운영을 통해 허브화를 촉진하는 경영에 주력하고 있습니다.
What other tasks lie ahead for Incheon Airport? The airport has a capacity to annually accommodate 44 million passengers. Currently, the number has already exceeded 40 million, so during the peak time when the airport gets overcrowded, it could have difficulties providing convenience and quick services as desired. To deal with this, it will invest $4.9 billion by 2017 in order to complete a three-phase project to construct the second passenger terminal and related facilities. When the second terminal opens, the airport can accommodate 62 million passengers and 5.8 million tons of cargo, securing competitiveness similar to that of neighboring airports and their facilities.
인천공항이 이제 국민들의 자긍심이고 자존심이라고 생각합니다. 그 자긍심에 걸맞게 앞으로도 지속적인 성장을 할 수 있도록 저희들이 새해에도 허브공항으로서의 한성격 유치라든지 인프라 확대라든지 또 조직 혁신을 통해서 국민들로부터 신뢰받고 세계인이 즐겨 찾는 인천공항을 만들도록 노력할 생각입니다.
The place that determines Republic of Korea's first impression and people around the world want to visit. The place that contributes to the country's economy by creating multi-billion dollars worth of production effects and added values. We look forward to Incheon Airport's new year in 2015 when it will leap forward with a stronger competitiveness, strengthen its status as a Northeast Asian hub, and lead the global airport industry.
"2015 is starting with hopeful expectations. Most pundits expect the economic growth rate of Korea this year to outstrip that of last year. Moreover, there are hopes that Korea will join the so-called 30-50 club, i.e. nations that have a per capita income north of $30,000 with a population north of 50 million. So, will these rosy expectations come to pass? What are the risks and opportunities coming up in the Korean economy in the year ahead? To answer these questions, we have with us an economist from Ewha Women's University here in Seoul. Dr. Kim Se-won, welcome to BizLine.
Okay, thank you for having me.
That's a pleasure. Oh, and Happy New Year, I should say.
Happy New Year too.
Thanks. Speaking of the new year, give me your big picture outlook for 2015. Are you optimistic? Is your glass half full or half empty?
Well, Andy, that is a good question, but I don't have a clear answer for that. I might say my view is 50% optimistic and another 50% pessimistic.
Okay, well, you're clearly hedging your bets. I mean,
right.
Yeah, but the government itself has revised down its economic growth forecast to 3.8% from last year's projection of 4%. The Korea Development Institute is looking at about 3.5% for the year. Hyundai Research Institute is saying 3.6%. POSCO Research is saying 3.7%. And most global investment banks I'm looking at are saying around 3 to 3.5%. What's your view? What growth rate do you expect for 2015?
The forecasted numbers are not meaningful at this moment, I think. There is a famous joke between economists about the forecasting future GDP growth. Like the reason why God created forecasters, economic forecasters, is making looks good the weather forecasters. So I don't pay
and weather forecasts are, of course, famously inaccurate.
I don't pay much attention to the exact numbers, but one thing interesting is there is a huge gap between Bank of Korea's forecast, which is 3.9%, and the KDI is expecting 3.5%.
Right.
So that means Bank of Korea sees 2015's economy in a more optimistic way, and vice versa for the KDI in a more negative way. So we expect something conflicts between Bank of Korea's and government's policies.
Okay, and that may have an impact on interest rate policies, which we'll talk about in a moment. All that having been said, you know, for an industrialized, advanced economy, any growth rate north of 3%, I mean, 3.5%, pretty solid numbers, right?
Right, it is very decent number. We believe that the potential economic growth of the Korea might be 3.5%. So that means we can say that we are moving forward to the full speed, but we are moving at a moderate speed, which is not bad.
Okay. Now, you said earlier on you're 50-50, or 50% positive, 50% negative. You're clearly sitting on a fence.
Right.
Let's look at some of the external factors that will likely impact the Korean economy in the year to come. Let's take them one by one. Tell me how you see them, positive or negative. First one, obviously, low energy prices.
Of course, a low energy price, crude oil price might be a good factor for the growth of the Korean economy. And same story goes to all the developed and underdeveloped country together. However,
unless, of course, you're an oil producer, which Korea is not. You're a net energy importer, right?
Right. And in addition to that, by the way, there is a big business of the construction companies in the Middle East countries. So that amounts to over 310 billion US dollars per year. So when crude oil price decreases, so our business with Middle East countries will be declining.
So the construction sector might suffer
sector.
some collateral damage. Okay. And of course, there's another low across the East Sea, where the Japanese yen is expected to remain pretty low, particularly given the recent victory of Shinzo Abe in the election. How significant is the weak yen for Korea?
Right. Low yen might be negatively affecting Korean economy because Korean manufacturing companies are competing with Japanese manufacturers like Toyota and Honda. And we will be losing price competitiveness in the global market thanks to weakened yen.
How serious an impact do you think that's actually going to have?
Yeah, that's going to be really serious if the Japanese yen depreciates even more.
Well, I mean, it looks likely. Abe has won re-election quite handily. Right?
Exactly. So Prime Minister Abe's policy target is by depreciating Japanese yen further, they will recover price competitiveness against the Korean manufacturers.
Okay, let's move on now to some of the domestic factors. And of course, the big question we always ask is, will there be any vitalization of domestic demand in 2015? And if so, what will drive it? Let's take them one by one. Do you think household debt relief will have any impact?
The household debt burden will be lessened in 2015 expected because government is trying very hard to lessen the burden of the household debt by lessen the DTI restrictions, etc.
Sorry, say that again?
Debt to income ratio, which is regulation for borrowing money from the banks.
Okay, so that will ease some pressure by giving households access to money. What about high employment? Are we going to see better job figures this year?
Of course, high employment is important, but what people are really scared of is not the employment level, but the job security. So I think the job security, which is kind of related to high employment, should be
a psychological issue. Definitely.
That will affect the consumption level and
in a negative way.
level. Right.
Yeah, okay. What about the housing market? Are we going to see a revitalization of the housing market this year?
Right. So housing market will be experiencing another recession because there is a less demand. Supply in the short run, supply is fixed for housing market, but the demand is declining slowly and slowly.
Demographic
fall. For the demographic changes and the slower income growth.
Yeah. You mentioned slower income growth just now. Do you expect to see any wage rises, significant wage rises in this year?
I believe that wage increase will be restricted below 3% level, which is as high as last year's
under GDP growth.
Right.
Yeah.
So we don't expect much increase for wage increase.
Okay. That's a pretty negative outlook you've got on that then. Okay, let's move on away from the consumer side to the corporate side now. Many of Korea's biggest companies, many of the top chaebol, are sitting on massive stashes of cash, and they're just not investing, they're not spending. What is going to push these firms to start pushing this capital actually into productive use in the economy?
Well, that quickly became an important problem in Korea because investment is nothing but the growth of the future prosperity in every country. But the fact is, they do not find any good investment opportunities. So the simple answer is, our economy should be growing faster than before for having good investment opportunities. Actually, Korean government is inducing chaebol companies and big companies to invest with the sitting on money cash. They even try to tax on that sitting on cash. But
have we seen any good results from that thus far?
No, that was not realized yet.
Yeah, okay. All right, I mean, another issue for the corporate sector, of course, is that customarily the chaebol, the big companies, most Korean companies, just haven't really returned much cash to the company owners, i.e. their shareholders. There's a very, very low dividend policy, which of course has been one of the driving forces behind the Korean discount. But now even Korean institutional investors, including the National Pension Fund, are telling Korean corporates, you've got to start paying higher dividends to us. Do you think this is going to happen? If so, will that inject a significant pile of cash into the economy?
I have to tell you that there have been two reasons why Korean big companies are not paying out the dividends to the shareholders. The first is the Korean companies invest more than Western companies. And second is Korean government has been inducing big companies to hold more reserve or cash for possible emergencies. But that a trend has been changing from last year. Government is pushing down the big companies to pay more dividends. And secondly, as I said before, the companies do not find good investment opportunity.
Right. So, this year, is this actually going to happen? Are investors going to get a dividend bonanza?
Right, exactly. Samsung and POSCO decide to increase their dividend already. So I think the same situation goes on in 2015.
Now, of course, this is good for investors, but is this going to have any sort of trickle-down effect into the wider economy? Or is this pretty much firewalled from the average Kim?
Yeah, we will attract more foreign investors thanks to more dividend investment, and we will have more flexible financial market in the end thanks to the structural changes. That really helps both of the domestic and foreign investors together because the Korean people are getting older and older, and they have to use stock market as a vehicle to bring their income up to date to the retirement periods.
So you're saying that higher dividends will compel more average Koreans to start investing in the financial markets.
Right, that's my view.
Okay, well, let's hope that happens. Let's talk about the BOK's interest rate policy. In 2014, it cut the rate twice. Do you think it will continue to lower the rate for a booster effect this year?
Not really without a big threat from the government. Bank of Korea is seeing today's Korean problem is related to structural problem, not only with the interest rate or monetary problem. So they believe that, Bank of Korea believes that the interest rate is not the only savior of the Korean economy. So they will really resist to decrease the interest rate.
But, although the bank is ostensibly independent, it has been pressured by government and has acted according to that pressure in the past. Do you think it can resist this pressure this year?
I don't know whether I can say there is a pressure from the government to Central Bank of the Korea, but it is true that Bank of Korea feels something pressure from the government. When Bank of Korea sees that the interest rate is the only solution
they
for
have, yeah.
this difficult situation. They were willing to decrease the interest rate.
I mean, as an economist yourself, do you think the Bank of Korea has sufficient maneuver room to cut the rate further this year?
When Bank of Korea decreases interest rate, the biggest concern is the wealth outflow to foreign countries. Since interest rate in Korea is low, people might be deposit their money in foreign countries. So the gap between U.S. interest rate and Korean interest should be maintained at 2% level to stopping for avoiding outflow of the wealth.
Okay, gotcha. The Korean government has announced its economic policy direction for this year. It's emphasizing structural reforms in 4 sectors. What does this mean? What are these 4 sectors, and what do you make of this policy?
Oh, yes. The 4 sectors are public companies, education, finance, and the labor market. So these are, as you know, these are very fundamental part of the whole economy. But the problem has been that in Korea, these parts used to be the weakest part of the Korean economy. So in 2014, Korean government tried very hard to increase and stimulate the domestic consumption, which was not actually successful.
Sure.
I think they decided to go back to fundamentals, which is long and medium-term policy targets, which is a good news.
To pick up on one of the points you just made, of course, one of the sectors is state-owned enterprises. The government has announced that it will be putting some state-owned enterprises on the auction block again. We've heard this again and again from the government. This is often announced and yet is very, very rarely actually executed due, I think, to resistance in society as a whole, and of course also due to resistance within the companies themselves. Are these companies actually going to go up for sale this year?
Today's Korean government is, I think, less aggressive in selling out public companies to private sectors. The last president's government used to be very aggressive in liberalizing public companies by selling to private sectors.
Yeah. You're not expecting to see that happen?
Right.
Not aggressively, at least not this year, not this administration.
Today's government will be keeping the minimum part of the public sector. So they are not selling out all the public companies, to the private sectors.
Okay. All right, well, I can see why you're sitting very much on the fence with your predictions this year. There's a lot of opportunities, but there's also a lot of risks for the year ahead. Dr. Kim, thanks very much for being on BizLine.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Pleasure.
With the start of a new year, people first set various plans for the year. What if you want to set plans with your sweetheart? The app of the week is Couple You. Couples can share their schedules and plans together. First, let's add the days you need to celebrate or special days like your sweetheart's birthday. Also, let's set the plans for a summer vacation, trips, or goals for just the 2 of you. In particular, you can share all the schedules and plans with your sweetheart, so you will be able to see the plans being updated in real time from your mobile phones. You can further grow love through the plans you make with your sweetheart.
From compasses to gunpowder, from steam engines to printing presses, from televisions to telephones, from canned beer to soft toilet roll, the range of technological innovations that have changed mankind's life for both good and for ill is vast. And in recent years, the sheer speed of technological change has never been faster. So, what's next? What kind of technologies might be changing our lives in 2015 and beyond? Well, BizLine has drawn up a list of predictions, so keep your eyes firmly fixed on that screen.
Prospects of the global economy still look shaky, but the momentum of innovations and industrial breakthroughs in technologies offer hope. What kind of new technologies can we expect to lead the global economy and shape our future? Let's look at some of the promising technology tools that we would hear a lot about in 2015. 3D printing, dubbed as the torchbearer of the third industrial revolution, is being applied in a wide range of areas the manufacturing and medical field and rewriting the economics of making things and providing services. But before it hit the mainstream, the industry has already moved on to the 4D printer frontier. A research team at MIT stretched the concept of 4D printing. A 3D printer reconstructs the targeted object layer by layer based on its virtual blueprint. The 4D printing is added with information on how the object can change in shape or color when it comes to contact with the outside forces, like change in temperature.
3D 프린팅 자체는 우리가 모형을 프린팅하는데 큰 특징을 가지게 됩니다. 하지만 4D 프린팅은 그 3D 프린팅에 의해서 만들어진 그 모형이 특정 온도라든가 압력 그리고 시간에 따라서 변화하여 우리가 많이 알고 있는 트랜스포머와 같이 자동차가 로봇으로 변하는 그런 기술들을 포함하고 있습니다.
The difference has been made through smart materials which absorb and expand to cause the parts to self-assemble and reassemble according to outside factors in place of the regular rigid plastic layers in printing out objects.
스마트 소재에는 우리가 알고 있는 세포와 같은 생체 소재라든지 아니면 형상 기억 고분자 그리고 압전 소재 등 다양하게 있습니다만 이러한 소재를 이용해서 프린팅하게 되면 이 소재가 가지고 있는 특징에다가 또 이제 3D 프린팅 내에서 가지고 있는 디자인이 결합하여 새로운 형태의 변화가 가능하게 하는 그런 특징을 가지게 됩니다. 따라서 4D 프린팅에서 가장 핵심 중에 하나는 스마트 소재인 것입니다.
Car tires, for example, can be pre-programmed to change shape into snow tires when it snows. Spaceships could be designed to self-transform to adapt to changes in the environment.
더울 때와 추울 때에 따라서 숨구멍이 달라지는 옷이라든가 심장의 움직임과 같이 유사한 그런 느낌을 가지고 움직일 수 있는 심장이라든가 하는 것들이 의외로 쉽게 저희에게 다가올 것으로 생각을 하고 있고요. 4, 5년 이후면 충분히 그런 비슷한 것들을 우리가 볼 수 있을 것으로 생각을 합니다.
The robotic industry is another area that can redefine our lifestyle. Robots added with sophisticated automation, artificial intelligence, and sensors are coming to the market and making computing more ubiquitous. One global consulting firm estimates the robotics market could be as big as $6.4 trillion by 2025.
최근 들어서는 소형화를 할 수 있는 로봇을 제작을 하는 추세가 있고요. 그리고 또 하나는 소프트 로봇이라고 해서 기존에는 단단한 재료를 이용을 해서 이런 생체 모방 로봇들을 만들었었는데 최근에는 유연한 재료를 사용을 해서 실제 생체와 보다 더 비슷한 형태의 로봇을 만드는 추세로 연구가 진행이 되고 있습니다.
Biomimetic robotics are featured after the capabilities of animals and plants that survived environmental challenges and proved to be the fittest. The applications have broadened to reconnaissance and rescue operations in crisis-hit areas.
특히 재난 환경과 같이 기존 로봇들이 접근할 수 없는 그런 환경들에 이러한 생체 모방 로봇이 활용될 것이라고 예상이 되고요. 또한 인체 내에 들어가는 이런 형태의 로봇들도 생체를 모사해서 그런 원리를 바탕으로 로봇을 만들면 좀 더 저희 인체 내에서 수술용이라든지 진단용으로 사용될 수 있을 것이라고 예상을 하고 있습니다.
The automated machinery engineered with engines and motors was rigid and robotic in movements, but softer and smarter designs make them move and work more naturally. We no longer may have to envy Harry Potter and his invisible cape. Scientists have made the fairy tale-like invisibility cloak using metamaterials. Applications of composite structures called metamaterials designed to bend light and other electromagnetic radiation around them are expected to be the next big thing over the next 10 years.
메타라는 말은 어떤 범위나 한계를 넘어선다는 뜻인데요. 그래서 메타 물질이라는 거는 그 자연계에서 존재하지 않는 특성을 그 광특성이나 열특성을 가지게 하는 어떤 물질, 그러한 작은 인공 원자로 이루어진 물질을 메타 물질이라고 합니다. 그래서 보통 빛의 파장보다 훨씬 작은 크기의 인공 그 원자로 이루어진 물질이 되겠습니다.
The human eye views an object from its light reflection. When metamaterial is cloaked over the object, the light is redirected and the object looks hidden from the eye. Metamaterials can artificially alter the properties of light waves. Local scientists have developed metamaterials that can enable invisibility even when bent or folded. The smart metamaterials are reduced to nano size, allowing masking within discernible distance and making invisible cloaks closer to a reality.
기존의 투명망토는 그 감추려는 물체의 형상에 맞춰서 설계를 했기 때문에 그 물체가 조금이라도 변형이 되거나 접게 되면은 더 이상 투명망토로서 성능을 유지할 수가 없게 됐는데, 저희가 개발한 것은 광학적 성질과 탄성의 성질을 동시에 가지는 그러한 스마트 메타 물질을 최초로 설계를 하고 제작을 해서 접거나 구부려도 투명망토의 성능을 계속 유지하는 그러한 물질을 저희들이 최초로 개발하게 되었습니다.
Unmanned automated vehicles and airplanes controlled by remote systems and highly efficient and intelligent transportation systems will also continue to draw attention in 2015. When they become mainstream, economic repercussions could be enormous.
최근에 이제 그 주요 핵심 기술, 중요한 기술이다라고 언급되는 4D 프린팅이라든지 인공지능 로봇, 이런 것들의 어떤 그 유망성이 상당히 좀 부각이 되고 있거든요. 그래서 이런 기술들이 물론 이제 모든 기술이 다 상업화되는 건 아니지만 상업화돼서 산업이 육성되고 시장으로 발전된다면 한 국가 경제에 엄청난 경제적 효과를 낼 수 있다고 생각이 되고 있습니다.
These innovations may not just be the talk of the town in 2015, but can direct and reshape the next decade. Although still at experimental stages, continued research will one day bring them closer to our lives and radically change our lifestyle and society.
One of the hottest topics in ICT in 2015 is likely to be speed. The emergence of a gigabyte internet able to process data 10 times faster than existing broadband connections looks imminent. But will this emergent new technology deliver revolutionary or evolutionary change? Let's take a look.
Many media outlets have selected gigabit internet as an ICT issue worth paying attention to in 2015. Gigabit internet is expected to provide a highway of an ultra-connected society beyond just competition for speed. Let's find out what gigabit internet is and how our network environment will change because of this. Korea's telecom companies began to provide commercial internet services for businesses and households in 1994. At that time, the internet speed was 9.6 kilobits per second, which is less than 10,000th of the speed of the current ultra-high-speed internet. 20 years later, in 2015, the internet, which started from cable, has now become wireless. Now the world is expected to enter the ultra-connected society where all the objects and people exchange data in real time. The speed of the internet is also evolving further in line with surging internet traffic. The competition for faster cable internet speed that has remained at 100 megabits per second since 2006 has resumed after 8 years.
2006년도에 이제 100메가 이제 서비스 시대가 이제 구현이 됐습니다. 그로부터 지금 한 8년 정도가 이제 시간이 흘렀고, 지금 뭔가 이제 세상이 이제 요구하는 속도에 대한 니즈나 아니면 어떤 새로운 서비스를 갈망하는 시기가 되다 보니까 이제 기가 서비스를 올해 출시하게 됐습니다.
Gigabit Internet Service provides a gigabit-class network of 1 gigabits per second, which is up to 10 times faster than 100 megabits per second, or the speed of existing ultra-high-speed internet. If the 100 megabits per second ultra-high-speed internet can download a 1.2 gigabyte HD-level movie in about 90 seconds, gigabit internet can download this in 10 seconds. It only takes 33 seconds to download 1,000 songs. The launch of the UHD set-top box enabled viewers to watch UHD broadcasts, which offer resolutions 4 times higher but require large volumes of data. With the launch, companies began to provide infrastructure with more diverse contents, such as UHD dedicated channels and 4K UHD broadcasts.
댁 내에 있는 모든 단말들, 가전제품들이 이 기가 인터넷을 통해서 데이터를 주고받게 될 거고요. 그래서 현재는 홈 CCTV라든가 홈보이, 가스락과 같은 그런 서비스에서 출발했다면 향후에는 모든 가전, 냉장고, TV와 연동이 되어서 각각의 가전제품들이 데이터를 수시로 자발적으로 주고받는데 이 기가 인터넷 망을 활용하게 될 것으로 전망합니다.
But the services provided by the Gigabit Internet's quick speed do not just end at delivering large volume contents. When Gigabit Internet is popularized, users will be able to use such services regardless of time and space, bringing forward realistic future services. As users can transmit and analyze large volumes of data in real time, they will be able to experience new types of futuristic educational, medical, and cultural life that include holograms, augmented reality, and 4-dimensional services. In addition, Gigabit Internet is set to become a catalyst in getting convergence industries, which integrated ICT into existing industries, such as digital manufacturing and smart farms, back on track. Its role is expected to further expand in terms of developing social systems, such as transportation, energy, and disaster prevention systems, into IoT-based intelligent systems.
2014년 한 12월경에 한 10만 정도 가입자가 이제 돌파를 했고요. 15년에는 그 인터넷 전국 서비스 커버리지를 60%까지 높일 계획입니다. 그 다음에 16년 말까지는 70%까지 확대 예정입니다.
Gigabit Internet and 5th Generation Mobile Network, or 5G, are the core infrastructure to realize a creative economy, which is a national goal the Korean government is seeking to achieve. Many problems still need to be resolved to expand the Gigabit Internet. UHD broadcasts and Internet of Things, in which users can experience the real value of the Gigabit Internet, are still in their early stages.
기가 인터넷이 빨리 확산되고 많이 확산되면 가격이 떨어질 거고 그러면은 더 빨리 확산될 거고 그렇게 되면 아마 우리가 전 세계 어느 나라보다도 현재도 빠르지만 더 좋은 인터넷 인프라를 갖게 될 거고 그렇게 하면은 그것이 어떤 새로운 서비스 생태계를 만드는 기반이 되겠죠. 그렇게 하면은 지금 지지부진한 IT 분야의 성장을 새로운 성장 동력을 찾을 수도 있을 겁니다.
Gigabit Internet is predicted to change not only our daily lives, but also economic paradigms of a country. In 2015, we look forward to the ICT environment that will be faster and more diverse thanks to the introduction of Gigabit Internet.
Happily, 2015 marks the 70th anniversary of Korea's liberation from Japanese colonial rule. Less happily, it also marks the 70th anniversary of the division of the Korean peninsula. So, could there be any change in inter-Korean relations in 2015? Let's first listen to some Korean people on the shape they would like to see inter-Korean relations take in 2015, and then we'll hear some experts' forecasts for the year ahead.
A new year has dawned. What hopes can South Korean people have in relationship with North Korea this year?
남북 관계 그냥 잘 됐으면 좋겠어요.
서로 대화도 많이 하고 좋은 계기가 생겨서 정상회담도 이루어지는 한 해가 됐으면 좋겠어요.
Expectations for improvement in relationship between the two Koreas are bigger because the year bears a special meaning on both sides of the border as the 70th anniversary of liberation from Japanese colonial rule.
2015년은 광복 70주년이고 또 바꿔 얘기하면 이제 분단이 70년이 되는 그런 해인데요. 분단의 어떤 그 고착화에 대한 인상 이것이 이제 갈수록 깊어지는 그런 상황입니다. 그렇기 때문에 이러한 그 분단 문제를 해결하고자 하는 그런 의지와 그런 또 어떤 그 각오, 그런 필요성을 절감하고 있는 그런 세대들이 사라지기 전에 그런 분들이 돌아가시기 전에 남북 관계를 개선하고 통일의 어떤 물꼬를 트는 것이 더 절실해지는 그런 그 한 해라고 생각합니다.
A poll on unification and security experts showed that nearly 90% believed inter-Korean relationship could improve or stay the same in 2015. Optimistic views sharply deteriorated, while negative outlooks rose from 3.4% last year to 11%. Experts are unsure about inter-Korean relationship, with North Korea revving up verbal attacks and saber-rattling after plans for a second round of high-level talks were derailed and South Korea sponsored United Nations resolution on North Korean human rights abuses.
2015년은 정세, 한마디로 이야기하면 정세의 불투명성이 굉장히 높은 것 같아요. 북한이 여러 가지 안팎에 좀 어려운 그런 입장에 처해 있었던 것이 아닌가 하는 점이 아마 가장 근본적인 요인일 것 같고요.
Observers generally believe the second round of high-level talks that failed to take place last year could happen this year. In fact, the South Korean government on December 29th last year proposed to North Korea to hold high-level talks in January this year.
아시안 게임에서 이제 북쪽의 고위 인사들이 방한하면서 고위급 회담에 대한 그런 그 재개 합의를 했기 때문에 이러한 부분들을 다시 재개할 수 있는 또는 다시 속개할 수 있는 그런 그 기회는 뭐 열려 있다. 그 회담에서 어느 정도 성과를 거둘지는 여전히 미지수지만 그러나 그 회담의 필요성이라든지 또는 회담의 분위기 이런 것은 금년도에 여전히 좀 살아있는 그런 그 카드가 아닐까 이렇게 생각합니다.
Progress could be made first in humanitarian areas through high-level talks. Top of the agenda would be reunion of war-separated families that also was dramatically arranged last year.
현실적으로 앞으로 3, 4년이 지나면은 이산가족 상봉이라는 것 자체의 의미가 없어지게 됩니다. 다 이제 돌아가시게 되기 때문에 의미가 없어지기 때문에 한국 정부의 입장에서는 매우 절박한 인도주의적인 사안이고 북한에 이거를 강력하게 요구를 하리라고 생각이 됩니다.
Also on the table are the possibilities of reviving the Mount Kumgang Joint Tourism Project and easing the May 24th sanctions that cut off virtually all economic ties with North Korea after a deadly sinking of the South Korean naval ship in 2010.
금강산 관광 사업을 재개하기 위한 그런 그 협의 또는 논의가 이제 구체화될 것이고 될 수 있을 것이고 그 과정에서는 역시 오이사 조치의 어떤 뭐 전면 해제까지는 아니더라도 부분적인 완화, 그래서 이제 북한과의 교류 협력 또는 북한에 대한 지원 이런 부분들을 좀 더 규모 있게 진행한다면 그 과정에서 이제 남북 간의 새로운 어떤 그 경제 협력의 어떤 물꼬가 트일 수 있는 그런 가능성, 그런 부분에 좀 남북이 좀 논의의 초점을 모아야 될 것이다 이렇게 생각합니다.
If high-level talks end up producing outcomes only in the humanitarian field, inter-Korean relationship cannot be deemed to have made progress. So what could be meaningful progress?
보다도 본질적인 문제로 넘어가서 경제 교류를 전면적으로 좀 활성화시킨다든지 민간급 교류를 전면적으로 활성화시킨다든지 이런 문제로 나아가다 보면 그리고 그런 관계를 가기 위해서 남북 간의 군사적인 긴장이 일정 정도 완화되거나 완화될 수 있는 전망이 보여야 된다는 것이죠. 근데 그런 남북 간의 군사적 긴장 완화의 어떤 핵심적인 결정 요인은 바로 북핵 정세가 거기에 작용하고 있는 거죠.
Any fundamental solutions to inter-Korean problems all point to North Korean nuclear issues. But nuclear proliferation is an issue that Pyongyang connects with its viability. Kim Jong-un has made it clear that he was succeeding nuclear weapons program his father has begun and wants the world to recognize North Korea as a nuclear power. Pyongyang reminds us that it could use its nuclear capabilities every time it is under severe pressure.
가장 쉽게 대응할 수 있는 거가 한국에 대해서 군사적 긴장을 높이는 거라든지 아니면은 제4차 핵실험을 하는 겁니다. 북한은 이미 이거를 공언을 했습니다. 그렇지만은 북한이 이런 식으로 나가는 경우에는 북한의 고립은 점점 더 심화될 거고 김정은 정권이 내부적으로 직면해야 되는 사회적인 문제, 정치적인 문제, 경제적 문제도 더 높아질 거라고 생각이 됩니다.
Experts recommend an incremental approach instead of a comprehensive and all-for-one aim to solve the North Korean nuclear issue.
남북관계, 북미관계 개선, 육자회담 체계라고 하는 3단계 프로세스가 전개된 바가 있죠. 이러한 단계적인 접근법을 통해서 북핵 정세 동결, 불능화, 완전한 해체라고 할까요? 아마도 정책 현실의 관점에서 북핵 문제를 풀어가는 가장 근본적인 접근법일 수밖에 없지 않겠는가.
Apart from meaningful joint celebration of liberation, heads of the two countries would be particularly eager this year to make progress in inter-Korean relationship as President Park Geun-hye is halfway into her term and Kim Jong-un in his fourth year at the helm.
남북 간의 그 실질적인 대화가 이루어져야 되고 대화에서 이루어지는 어떤 합의라든지 또는 이런 그 논의 과정에 있어서의 어떤 그런 그 신뢰 이런 것들이 결국 남북 관계를 풀어갈 수 있는 또 그 남북 관계가 풀어짐으로 해서 뭐 북한 핵 문제라든지 또는 북한에 대한 국제사회의 어떤 우려와 또 이런 그 인해서 이루어져 있는 그런 그 제재 이런 것들도 뭐 해제를 위한 또는 완화를 위한 그런 그 돌파구가 마련될 수 있을 것이다. 금년도에는 역시 남북 대화의 재개 또 그 남북 대화의 의미 있는 그런 그 재개를 위한 노력이 필요한 그런 그 한 해라고 생각합니다.
But the year could see a breakthrough or even turning point as the two Koreas may try to incorporate meaning to commemorate the 70th year since the land was freed from colonial rule, and the leaders of the two countries are in a greater need to achieve progress in mutual relations. Let's hope the leaders can produce more than just words this year.
And that's all we have time for on BizLine this week. But do join us again next week, because on the macro front, we'll be asking what the global economy has in store for us in 2015. On the micro front, we'll be asking, how do modern Koreans break their fasts? In fact, in Korea today, convenient, easy breakfasts that can be eaten on the move, on the way to work, on the way to school, are rapidly gaining popularity. We'll take a closer look at these breakfasts next time. But that's all for now. I'm Andrew Salmon. This was BizLine. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.